Well, over the last few years, since the oil price downturn, the activity in the region has been quite muted, whether it's from an exploration or development or an M&A standpoint. But 2018 was a bit of a turning point. At least from an exploration perspective and development, we started to see a rebound from the previous years of lows. And also from an M&A perspective, we've had some new independents come into the region. Those deals are still working through a cycle to completion, but that does bode well for the region. So what does 2019 leave us? Well, I mean, a lot of it will be dependent on the oil price. The companies will be exploring, but still very much along the lines of proven plays, although we are going to see some more high-impact wells, both for the South East Asia region as well as Australia. And then it sets us on the basis of what are those wells going to kind of deliver. The challenge for the region has been that the gassy nature of the wells. We've also had preceding years where a lot of the high-impact wells, were failures. So there is a level of conservatism from the industry, and so the big question is, what can the governments do to help companies? One area is providing a much more robust fiscal environment and incentives that allows companies to take on this exploration risk. The other aspect is helping them reduce the regulatory burden, more transparent and accelerated ways to first gas. And then just the overall gas market environment. In particular, some of the countries in this region have very different gas markets that don't have a price point for what is going to be more deep water gas resources. And these things are all going to be important as companies who are looking to make their bets both in region as well as out of region on where they should be drilling these high cost wells. Well, 2017 and 2018 were quite critical years for the region. We saw a lot of the legacy PSCs that were coming up for expiry transition to the host NOCs, and a lot of decisions were made for future PSCs or concession agreements that are coming up for expiry in the early 20s. That has a lot of implications for the region because leading IOCs and independents who've had a long stint in the region for nearly 30 to 40 years now will have a much more reduced footprint, and really makes the question of whether incremental investment is warranted versus a global portfolio. Especially when you think about exploration, the newer opportunities or the future of exploration is in deeper waters. And when we think about the gassy nature of it, or we think about the capabilities and competencies, that sits with the IOCs and independents. And the host NOCs don't possess those deep water capabilities. And so the question of who will drill these high impact, high cost exploration, that's going to really be a question that we pose to these host governments and host NOCs in the coming years. For the host NOCs who pick up a lot of these legacy PSCs, it does clearly give them a production boost, but it does come up with its own challenges because they do receive a very mature portfolio, and that requires them to think about how do they become a top quartile performer, how do they build up this technological and commercial skill sets, and then also about partnership models. Do they go it alone, or do they bring in some specialist companies to support them in increasing the production or lowering the cost base? So as we think about the next few years, it's going to be interesting to see, can they create the right partnership models and allow a new set of players to enter the region, something like what we've seen in the North Sea. But ultimately, they need to create a win-win structure with these companies, and that will be something that will be quite fascinating for the region in the coming years.